there's any outstanding questions or comments that you would like a response to from the panel. That's what we're going to open up to again. So we have question cards. If you want to write them down, you can do that and pass it to our staff in the middle, and they'll bring them up to me, and I'll read them out. Or you can raise your hand. We can bring the mic to you, or you can approach the microphone in the middle here. So we do have one question that was submitted that we didn't get to during the earlier session. So I'll go ahead and start there. Okay. Since the study provided an average, how is that average calculated? Is it clear from the report that many of the locations only had sound measuring for a few days, like Oxnard Shores or Whitecap? So if this is your question or comment and you want to further elaborate, please approach the microphone and you can further elaborate. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, that was actually very good, given my terrible handwriting. I'm left-handed, I never learned how to
I actually had some
write.
help, so.
I'm sure it took several people to figure that out. The question is really, how do you accomplish this averaging? So it's somewhat of a technical question, and I do know that the focus on that Whitecap was that monitor, I am told, was there for like a week. So how do you figure that out?
So the noise measurement activity is a voluntary, in addition to a typical Part 150 study. So a Part 150 study can be conducted without measurements. The noise exposure contours are developed with the FAA software package called AEDT, Aviation Environmental Design Tool. That takes into account, and all this information is in the noise exposure maps volume. That's the technical report that goes along, which provides the supporting documentation for the noise contours. The outputs there are, it's an existing condition contour and a 5-year forecast contour. So we cannot forecast noise with the measurement device. So the methodology is use the software. Airports across the United States use the same software, because ultimately airports could be competing for the same dollars, right? So every airport is using that same methodology to develop noise exposure contours. The results from the noise monitoring, those are compared to the outputs of the modeling. So we just use that as basically a check against our modeling, and it's really just, we don't take that information and put it back into the model. It's just a comparison to the outputs of the modeling. So to the question of the averaging, right? So there's, we're using an annual average metric. And there's a lot of information in the noise exposure maps document, both in the report itself and in the appendices. So in general, it's an annual average day. So we're looking at an annual, the fleet mix, all the different types of aircraft that are operating at the airport. We divide that by 365, and then there's a averaging equation for the noise energy that goes into that. And then, so each of when you're using the software, it's a grid point. So that you develop a series of points, a grid across the airport, and then points of similar value, noise exposure value, are connected similar to a topographic contour. So the topographic contour links points of similar elevation. Here, we're linking points of similar noise exposure. Be happy to continue the conversation about it. So in some of our previous meetings, we got into that methodology. and I'd be happy to discuss it with you further.
Great, thanks, Corey. Okay, we have another question card, and we have 3 questions here. We might have touched on them before, so panel, you can lightly respond accordingly. Okay, number 1. Why isn't 60 CNL in the plan?
So the 60 CNEL noise exposure contours are included as an appendix to the noise exposure maps document. The 65 CNEL is the federal threshold, and we are directed by FAA to not include the 60 CNEL noise exposure contours in the body of the noise exposure maps document, so that's in chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. But we are allowed to put those in as an appendix for local use for land use planning.
Okay, thank you, Corey. Second part. How is buying out homes on LFR and Teal Club going to reduce noise complaints when Ventura Road makes most airport noise? So how is buying out homes on LFR and Teal Club going to reduce noise complaints when Ventura Road makes the most airport noise?
I think we touched on that specifically. It is just an option for purchasing homes, doing noise insulation on those homes. So it's just capturing that those homes are in the FAA's recognized exposure areas, which allows us to request federal funding. So it's not required, it's just captured as an option, and the drafter of that, the author of that is correct. We don't normally receive complaints from that area, but it just allows us to do that in the future as an option. So it's not required, it's just we're capturing that to keep that option viable in the future.
Thank you, Keith. Last part. Orbitz cut down Ventura Road instead of flying over Old Oxnard High, which was closed partly due to the airport. Are these changes to benefit the community or airport development?
I would answer it this way, is that none of any adjustments we've made are to benefit airport development, first of all. Any changes, Jeanette working with air traffic control team and our pilots is to benefit the community members to help mitigate noise issues. So that's what we've been doing over the last 4 years, doing some adjustments. But again, if you're near an airport, there isn't a road in the sky. So depending how much traffic air traffic controllers are dealing with, that can adjust where pilots are coming in and out. So it's not always the same location. So that might be some of the adjustments. Anything like that?
No, I'll just reiterate what I shared with you earlier. Is for the folks, particularly in the Cabrillo neighborhood, what Keith said is completely accurate. And having said all of that, it doesn't mean that we don't look into ways that we can improve our education and communication with pilots so that they understand the impact of going beyond Gonzales, not coming down Gonzales. So these are all things, this is all feedback that we need and that we looked into as far as our education goes to pilots.
Great, thank you, Keith and Jeanette. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions or comments tonight? Sir, yeah, you can go ahead and approach
I thought
if
it
you'd
was
like, so we
technical
can hear
question.
you. Thank you.
Modeling and simulation is dear to my heart, but I started to wonder about when you publish those contours, how come there's no uncertainty bounds on anything? Why are they just like, here's the number? How uncertain are those numbers and those models that they use?
I can direct you to, we can So there's a technical volume that goes along with the modeling software, and we can get into that. And I can show you where to find that information, but I don't know, I don't have a direct response to your question, but I do know that there is a technical manual beyond like how to use the software. It's all the kind of the science that goes into the noise model itself. It has been, it's been developed over the last 30 years, the modeling software. And I mean, honestly, the FAA wants to be certain that the results that are coming out of the model are reflective of the conditions and the inputs. Because in the end, at many airports, there are these programs for sound insulation and acquisition and other things like this. And those are expensive. So FAA wants to be certain that the model is reflective of the noise conditions, because they are ultimately spending dollars to support this program at the local level.
So it doesn't take into account any of the ground structure, right?
So it does take into account terrain. It does not take into account buildings. And then you did have a question earlier about road noise. Many years ago, FAA allowed the use of combining models, roadway noise plus aircraft noise. But FAA has said we only want aircraft noise in a Part 150 study.
Now the traffic.
Yeah. So there are other places where other avenues for looking at traffic noise, and it is we recognize that there is also vehicle traffic noise, but this there's pretty strict parameters on what we can look at in an aircraft noise compatibility planning study.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that has any other questions or comments? Please, sir. I think there's a microphone if you just want to grab behind it, but yeah, thanks.
As things wind down on the discussion of the noise and the program that's being talked about tonight, since we have the director of airports here and the deputy director, are you able to open it up to just questions of a general nature about the airport? And if not, fine, but just a question.
We're here, let's go.
Okay, number one.
You heard it from the boss, let's do it.
Thanks. Is there any possibility that the airport, Oxnard Airport, might be open to commercial air traffic again? If not, why not?
So the quick answer is that the airport does still maintain its commercial certificate for airport operations, commercial operations. And we've spent years, we haven't had commercial service probably about 18 years or so. But we still engage in discussions, trying to solicit airlines to utilize our facilities. The short answer is, if you keep up on your news, airlines are struggling to do what they do right now. And so to move, they like to be at larger airports, Burbank, LAX, where they can consolidate their equipment, their airplanes, their people, all those things. So to come off to a small airport like Oxnard, which sits in between Santa Barbara, Burbank, and LAX, that's a difficult setup. And so that's what you're saying. What's more likely to come our way in the next 5-10 years is eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff, air taxi kind of service. That's more likely what's heading our way in the next 5 to 10 years.
So then would that include going through security at that point so that you can avoid doing it at LAX?
Yeah. All to be determined, but if you know what happened in 9/11, to feed into a large terminal, the answer would be yes, no matter what size it is. But this model probably is landing on the parking lot at LAX and you taking your bags where the Uber drops you off now and walking across the street or something like that. and still going through security, those kind of
Okay,
things.
great, thanks. Second question, there's an empty open field, it's currently now fenced off with razor wire. That's just to the east of the airport across from Ventura, across Ventura Road, directly in line with the, you know, the one I'm talking about.
Yes,
In the past, it's been used as an agricultural opportunity, very low intensity usage. Currently, obviously, you don't want to do anything larger than, or more intense than that type of thing. Is there any possibility of opening it up to a vendor to grow flowers or some sort of low density plants or something?
we actually had interest recently in putting solar on the site. So that's going to trigger kind of an FAA requirement is once we get some interest, we go solicit for other interest. So it does have, as you would expect, restrictions on development because it's in the approach into the airport. So flowers and things like that were appropriate, solar maybe. But that's a process we will go through. Probably within the next six to 12 months.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
The Oxnard Union High School District used to be headquartered in the buildings just to the east of the airport along K Street. They've moved into a different location now. The rumor was that the airport department bought those buildings. Is that true?
That is not true. I know that the parcels were for sale, and they're doing some things. And last we had communication with them, they actually took them off the market. So I don't know if they have future plans or what they're looking to do.
Okay, so based on that, if what you say is still correct, they're owned still by the district.
As far as I know, we had those conversations within the last 60 days that they were taking them off the market. So,
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, great. Anybody else have any other comments or questions? Okay, last call, hearing none. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close up our question and answer session. The team will be hanging out for a few more minutes if anybody has any follow-up questions or conversations that you'd like to have. On behalf of the airport staff and project team here, we thank you so much for coming out and have a good night.
Thank you. Take cookies before you go, otherwise we're going to have to eat those. So.